Hello, welcome to TeaFairy Storytime. Today's story is Bartleby the Brave, and it was sent to me by the author Victoria Hyla Maldanado and illustrated by Ronald B. Botts Jr. Bartleby the Brave, written by Victoria Hyla Maldanado and illustrated by Ronald B. Botts Jr. And there is Bartleby, right there. 3 sparrow chicks fluttered into the nest. An old bird hugged them close to his chest. "Grandpa, Grandpa, tell us a story," he smiled. "I know what about bravery and glory, so settle on in and listen close and behave, and I'll tell you the story of Bartleby the Brave." Bartleby bird gave a great big stretch one morning in his cozy nest. The sun was bright, the weather breezy, the brisk wind made his beak quite sneezy. But nothing would stop him from getting up. He couldn't be late for the Brave Bird Cup. Can everybody see the pictures? Today was especially great, you see, because there, right underneath this very tree, coming from across the forest wide, birds of all kinds gathered and tried to be the best, bravest birds around by swooping and diving past cars that came around, which we know it's important to be safe around cars, but birds, they swoop them. Young Bartleby watched the games every time. He cheered on his favorites. Oh, they were divine. Like Ned Needlebeak, the strong nuthatcher, and Bobby the Blue Jay. You see there's Ned Needlebeak, and Bobby the Blue Jay is right there, who no one could match. Carissa the catbird, of course, she was quick, and Monty the martin, he knew every trick. There's Carissa, and there's Monty. And down here, in this corner over here, is Bartleby. Bartleby flew out to his favorite limb, a fantastic spot known only by him, or so he thought. But to his shock, some other birds were in his spot. And there he is flying to his spot, and he says, "Oh my!" And he sees that there's some birds already there. Do you know what kind of birds those are? They're cardinals. "Excuse me," he said, "but this is my space. I sit here each time there is a race." "Get lost, little bird. We got here first," said the mean red bird so harshly it hurt. "Surely there's room for little old me." "Scram, little bird. There's not room for 3. The cardinals were bigger and bolder, so Bartleby frowned and shrugged his shoulders. I think that's called bullying and not sharing. Bartleby tried to find a new spot with all good limbs taken, but he found just one knot, with a view that was very much hidden by leaves, and from here Bartleby could almost not see. "Oh no," the bird frowned. "This will be the first year that I haven't been able to watch and cheer." Yes, Bartleby's frown stayed only a minute, as the games began with his favorite birds in it. He ducked and bobbed to see them come by, but the leaves were so thick he could almost cry. The sparrows looked longingly back at his place, and the red bird just sneered with a quite nasty face. But as Bartleby watched, that bird changed its tune, went on to this branch, an old cup legend flew. Bartleby's mouth now dropped open wide, as Carmine the cardinal landed beside. "Grandpa!" the cardinal bully exclaimed. "Grandpa?" Bartleby whispered the name. "I see that you found a good spot for the cup," observed the old bird, looking down and then up. "Maybe someday, Carl, you'll bravely compete," said the oldest to the youngest with a toss of his beak. As the race bird of legend flew down and away, Bartleby noticed the red bird's dismay. "I'll show him I'm fast. I'll show him I'm brave," the cardinal squawked before flying away. Bartleby's face came alive with delight. He had his branch back, and he quickly took flight, then settled on in to watch all of the greats and the new bird cup hopefuls. "Oh, I just can't wait." First, Bobby the Blue Jay readied his wings to perform his death-defying windshield swings. Then Ned Needlebeak dipped deeply and dived. Just watching made Bartleby fly so alive. Bartleby cheered, and Bartleby howled as the competition left him completely wowed. Of all the bird flyers, he was ever so proud. But then he noticed, apart from the crowd, that the same red bird who'd taken his seat was approaching the edge of the Bird Cup Street. As Bartleby watched, the cardinal swooped close to a windshield. The bird looped-de-looped, but as he began to turn his upswing and go over the roof, the car clipped his wing. Tumbling end over end, he fell right down onto the hard and cold black paved ground. Bartleby gasped, but saw no one had seen. Their eyes were all fixed on the award-giving scene. The small sparrows saw that Carl couldn't get up, and bearing down fast was a big semi-truck. Without a thought, Bartleby flew from his branch, heading straight to the road, hoping there was a chance. He reached Carl's side and said, "Get up! You must, or we'll be hit by this very big truck." The injured bird nodded and lifted a wing, letting Bartleby move him along inch by inch. Just as they both reached the side of the road, the truck rumbled past. It never once slowed. Before he could rest, Bartleby was swept up, whisked up and away by a gust from the truck. The world spun around, and up was now down as Bartleby was tossed here and there all around. He looped and he swooped and he went topsy-turvy, twisting and whirling in a wind path so curvy. At last, when the world had stopped turning and spinning, a big flock of birds came toward him, all grinning. Carmine the Cardinal, the legend of old, wrapped a wing around Bartleby and said loud and bold, "Never in all my Bird Cup years has a bird dodged a truck with such style and no fear. And to top it all off, you have saved my grandson. I say to you, birds, these games were just won." With a cheer from the crowd and nods all around, in Bartleby's arms soon the trophy was found. As the birds raised him up in the air so high, Bartleby's tears welled up in his eyes. "I never thought I would be able to say that Bartleby became a brave hero that day." The children looked up at their grandpa with awe. "That sparrow was you, wasn't it, Grandpa?" "Indeed it was, my sweet little birds. So you need to remember these few special words. Whether you're big or whether you're small, when you care about others, you're a hero to all." Author Victoria Hyla Maldanado is a lifelong writer and editor. She has published several women's fiction novels, and this is her first children's book. She lives in the western suburbs of Chicago with her husband and children. You can visit her author website at www.victoriahyla.com. That's VICTORIAJHYLA.com. Illustrator Ronald B. Botts Jr. is a self-taught artist illustrator who enjoys painting and drawing fantasy plants and wildlife, and has contributed work to several creative projects. Although a California native, he currently lives in Round Rock, Texas. View his portfolio of work at www.instagram.com/RonaldBottsArt. That's RONALDBOTTSART. And that, my friends, is Bartleby the Brave by Victoria Hyla Maldanado and illustrated by Ronald B. Botts Jr. Thank you, Victoria, for sending this in. If you guys like this book, I'm going to put some links down in the notes there where you can find copies of it so you can read it with me over and over and over again. Have a great day. Bye.